can have a different view. Take off inferiority, put on superiority, and walk in the authority God gave you. The spirit of humility will draw down God's ability and bring you to nobility, chosen few. Oh, the shadow of a doubt will have no place under the brightness of your faith, and your mustard seed shall become a forest strong. In the kingdom God made you, you gotta take off superiority, put on superiority, and walk. God gave you all the spirit of humility will draw down God's ability, bring you to nobility, chosen few. Rise and shine, for your light has finally come. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Rise and shine, your light has finally come. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Lift up your hands and dance in your kingdom. Your kingdom is finally here. Thy kingdom come, and thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven, in heaven, in heaven. Put on superiority and walk. God gave you all the spirit of humility, draw down God's ability, bring you to nobility, chosen few. Inferiority, superiority, and walk. God gave you all the spirit of humility will draw down God's ability and bring you to nobility, chosen few. Take off, put on, and walk in the authority. My God gave you all the spirit will draw down and bring you to nobility, chosen few. Take it off, put it on. Hey, God gave you all the spirit will draw down God's ability and bring you to nobility, chosen few. La 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 la. Woo! Yes, it's inside of me, inside of you, inside of me. Superman, I know I can. Yes, you can. God made me a Superman. Oh yeah, I know what you got. You know what I got. Yeah, we all got potential. Yeah, we may not all have money, but we all got potential. Potential to be anything that we can dream. Yeah, so get ready. Here we go. Whoever dreamed that I could be a great example of what man can achieve. If he believes and pursues that dream in time, potentially in time. Hey, good people, God bless you, and welcome to tonight's Kingdom Conversation with me, your host, Bishop Wayne Malcolm, the Business Bishop, live and direct. Always excited and delighted to be a part of your life and legacy through this ministry, and great to see folks coming in already. Fantastic. So look, if you are coming in, come on in. And do let us know where you're coming in from. So I can see Aaron, bless you, brother Aaron. Daniel, bless you, Daniel. I can see over 50. I can see Doris. I can see Ika. And look, you're welcome. Just come on in, come on in. It's a kingdom conversation. It's an international Bible study. And Trinidad is in the building, Florida's in the building, Ohio's in the building, England is in the building, and no doubt others are coming in from other parts of the world. And I'm always excited and delighted to be a part of your life and legacy through this ministry. So look, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe. All right, yeah, go ahead and subscribe. And of course, please do like the post, right? Just click the thumbs up. I like this post, particularly if you like this post, right? Like the post. And of course, share it, right? Grab the link, let your friends, family, neighbors, and networks know that Bishop Wayne, the business bishop, is live and direct right here on this channel. South Africa is in the building. Yeah, Nigeria is in the building. Maryland is in the building. This is absolutely exciting. Okay, are you ready? Are you sure you're ready? Because tonight we going in deep. Like tonight we are diving in deep to some kingdom stuff, some kingdom mysteries, and I know and pray that it will bless you for generations to come. So if you're ready, we're going to dive right in. If you're ready, I want you to send up a fire emoji in the chat box, or a heart, or hands clapped, or just say ready in the chat box, and we're going to dive into tonight's presentation. All right, fantastic. Great to see you, Ray, and thanks for the fire. Here it goes. Woo! Hallelujah. So tonight, I want to talk about success assumptions. Success assumptions. And here's a bit of an outline as to what we're going to cover. First of all, I'm going to give some context to the concept. I'm going to talk about the double mind. I'm going to talk about how you evidence your assumptions. We're going to do a very powerful exploration as to why the wilderness. And then we're going to look at the second law. Now, of course, those of you who are familiar with my style will know that it's almost impossible to work out what I'm going to talk about from the agenda. But there are clues hidden in these little sentences. So let's dive straight into the context for the concept. So here goes. An assumption is an unconscious belief. It's an unconscious belief. It's what you believe or know to be true in your heart. Okay? So an assumption, of course, we can bring our assumptions into our consciousness and have a conversation about the things that we assume to be true. But outside of your consciousness, at an unconscious or subconscious level, there are things that you believe or know to be true, and you know them in your heart, and you've never attempted to explain them or justify them because they are assumptions. Perhaps a good example of an assumption is Genesis 1 verse 1, right? Genesis 1 verse 1, in the beginning God created heaven and earth. So the existence of God in the opening verse of the opening chapter of the Bible, the existence of God is assumed. It is assumed, okay? There's no attempt to justify or explain his existence. It is assumed that he exists. In the beginning, God created heaven and earth. And so when it comes to our assumptions, they are our unconscious beliefs. So I've said here in small, a success assumption exists when your words and deeds presuppose that your success is certain and an inevitable matter of time. Wow. So a success assumption exists when your words and deeds, right? Your words and deeds presuppose that your success is certain and that it's an inevitable matter of time before you manifest or materialize the ideas, the intention, and your imagination. All right, it's inevitable. It's a matter of time.
success is certain. I'm no longer doubtful about whether I'm going to win. I'm no longer, doubtful about whether I'm going to succeed. I assume that success is an inevitable matter of time. That's a success assumption. So let's kind of break this down a little bit more. I'm still giving some context to the concept. So unconscious beliefs are evidenced by actions. They're evidenced by actions as opposed to conscious beliefs, which are evidenced by words. So we have a conscious mind, we have the unconscious or the subconscious mind. And what you believe at a conscious level, you can evidence by your words. You can explain, you can share, you can tell us what you believe at a conscious level. But what you believe at the unconscious level can only be evidenced by your actions. Okay, so what you believe at the beneath your consciousness, what you believe at the subconscious level, is evidence. It is expressed. It's demonstrated by what you do. Whereas what you believe at a conscious level is evidence expressed, demonstrated by what you say. So I've put down here, if what you say you believe is at variance with what you show you believe, that is evidence of unconscious doubt. Okay? So if you're saying one thing, but evidencing another, if you say you believe this, but your actions show that you don't or that you doubt, that is evidence of unconscious doubt. And, it's one thing to battle with your conscious doubts. It's another thing to declare war on your unconscious doubts. Woo! And tonight, we are declaring war on unconscious doubt. Tonight, we're going to seek out and expose and eliminate unconscious doubt. We're going to detect, dismantle, and demolish unconscious doubt. Why do we need to do that? We need to do that because it is the presence of unconscious doubt that creates this conflict between what we're saying and what we're actually doing. And how many of you know that if what you're doing is in alignment with what you're saying, you become somewhat unstoppable because you are now congruent. You are totally congruent in terms of your words and your deeds. So we go over to the right side. I've got here assumptions. Assumptions inform your decisions, and they advise your activities. So when you make a decision, that decision isn't just based on your conscious assessment of the options available. It is also based on the presuppositions that you bring to the conversation. It's based on the assumptions, the underlying assumptions that inform those decisions. So, of course, when we make a decision, we are consciously weighing up options. But even the conscious weighing up of options is influenced by presuppositions and underlying assumptions that we bring to that conversation. So at all times, your assumptions are advising your activities. They are informing your decisions. And I've written here that unconscious doubt is the double mind. It is the double mind. So in James 1 verse 8, we are told that a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. And if you read around that passage, it really is a passage about prayer and about a prayer for wisdom, and in which James says, look, if you lack wisdom, ask God, he'll give it to you, but ask in faith without wavering. Ask in faith without wavering, because if you waver, then you are like a wave of the ocean that's driven by the wind, and there's so much uncertainty, there's so much instability when you are praying from a place of doubt. He says, now when you pray from this place of faith, okay? And he says that if you're praying from this place of doubt, or what I'm going to call internal conflict, he says that man will not receive anything from the Lord. He'll not receive anything from the Lord. Why? Because he is double-minded and unstable in all of his ways. So the question is, what is a double mind? What is the double mind? Well, the double mind doesn't so much refer to people who are constantly changing their mind, but it does refer to people who believe one thing at a conscious level and something else at a subconscious level. See, when what you believe at the conscious level is at variance with what you believe at a subconscious level, now you have a double mind, which is evidenced by a lot of instability or unstable ways. Okay, so in your ways, okay, not necessarily your words, in your ways, in your actions, in your decisions, in your choices, in your doing, there is this uncertainty. So you're not fully invested in what you're doing. The reason you're not fully invested in what you're doing is because inside there's a conflict between what you say you believe and what you show you believe by your actions. Wow and wow. Listen, if that was just for me, I'm receiving it as a light bulb moment. So here's another powerful passage, Proverbs 23, verse 6 to 7. It says, "Eat thou not the bread of him that has an evil eye, neither desire his dainty meats. For as he thinks in his heart, so is he. Eat and drink, says he to thee, but his heart is not with you." Now look, again, this kind of illustrates the double mind. It illustrates the difference between what you say you believe as a result of conscious reasoning versus what you show you believe at a subconscious level. And it shows the difference. And here, look, he says, look, even though a bad person is giving you bread and dainty meats, he says, look, don't eat it, don't drink it, because who he really is the person he is at a subconscious level. As he thinks in his heart, so is he. And I want you to notice, it doesn't say as he thinks in his mind, it says as he thinks in his heart, because sometimes the word mind in the scripture is used to describe your conscious reasoning, your conscious faculty, but sometimes the word heart is used to describe what's happening at a subconscious or at the unconscious level. So as he thinks in his heart, as he thinks, that's who he really is. That's what he's going to manifest. That's what he's going to evidence. That's what he's going to do. So he may say one thing, but he's going to do something else. What is he going to do? He's going to do what's in his heart. Eat and drink, saith he to thee. So he says one thing, but his heart is not with you, so he does something else. And look, let me tell you, so if you ever find yourself in that conflicting place where you are saying the right things but doing the wrong things, I'm going to say it again. You're saying the right things, but you're doing the wrong things. You're talking about your dreams. You're talking about your destiny. You're talking about where you're going. You're talking about success. You're talking about abundance. You're talking about increase. You're talking about enlarged territory. You're talking about the kingdom. You're talking about greatness, but you're doing the mundane, old routines, all of the old stuff that never produced a result for you. You haven't changed your habits. You haven't changed your lifestyle. You haven't organized your life in alignment with those words. Well, you're saying something which is coming out of your conscious mind, but you're doing the opposite because you have not detected, dismantled, and defeated the unconscious doubts and beliefs that are preventing you from doing what you are saying. Wow and wow. I'm sorry if that was for no one but me. I'm gonna absolutely put on a sound effect right here because that is a moment. Eat and drink, says he to thee, but his heart is not with you. He's saying the right thing, but he's doing the wrong thing. And if we're just honest for a moment, This is the story of many of our lives. We are saying the right things, but we're doing the wrong things. We're saying the right things, but we're not evidencing that we truly believe these things by the choices that we're making, the decisions that we're making, the habits that we evidence. We are doing the wrong thing. So, guess what? All of that was context for the concept. Context for the concept. Because now I'm going to dive into the concept. And in order to explain the concept of a success assumption, I want to draw your attention to the book of Deuteronomy. The book of the Deuteronomy, the fifth book of the Bible, the fifth of 5 books in the Pentateuch, which are the first 5 books. The book of the Deuteronomy. Now, Deuteronomy is a very, very interesting book. Very different to Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, and Numbers. It's different in terms of its positioning in the canon of the scriptures, which I'm going to go into in a moment. But it's also different in terms of its content, and it's also different in terms of its intent. Woo! Somebody better help me preach up in here. Deuteronomy is different in terms of its position, it's different in terms of its content, and it's different in terms of its intent. In other words, what's the purpose of its content? So let's dive into this. Okay, first of all, the word Deuteronomy literally means the second law. The second law. The what? The second law. So when you read the book of Deuteronomy, you're reading the book of the second law. Now we know that the first law was given in Exodus at Mount Sinai. But that first law was really the laws of deliverance and distinction. The laws of deliverance and distinction. In other words, the laws delivered to Israel at Mount Sinai were designed to deliver them from the slave mindset. Woo! I wish I had some help in here, because guess what? God can get you out of Egypt in a night, but it may take 40 years to get Egypt out of you. God can deliver you from slavery in a day. But deliverance from the slave mindset may take several years. God can deliver you from poverty in a day, but it may take years to deliver you from the poverty mindset. God may deliver you, in a day, but your distinction is going, and your development is going to be a process. So the first law really describes the laws of deliverance and distinction, the laws that would set Israel apart from other nations. But the second law really was made up of the laws of purpose and destiny. The laws of purpose and destiny. Because I want to tell you something about deliverance. Can I do that for just a moment? God doesn't just deliver you from, God delivers you to. Woo! And if all you ever experience is deliverance from a set of undesirable circumstances, then that just puts you in the wilderness. God brought them out of Egypt to bring them in to a land that flows with milk and honey. Deliverance is not complete until God delivers you to a destination. And so there's a lot of emphasis on God deliver me from something, but we're often not clear about what he's delivering us to. So whatever it is that gets you out of an undesirable situation is going to require a second law to bring you into a desirable situation. So the second law is really the laws of purpose and destiny. The laws of purpose and destiny. And why was it important that God gave Israel a set of laws or a set of rules that were exclusively about how to pursue your purpose and fulfill your destiny? Given that he had already given them some laws, some moral laws, some civic laws, some ceremonial laws, why would God say, now I want you to sit down because I want to give you some more laws, but these laws are going to be laws concerning your purpose and your destiny? And, I don't have time, but I wish I did have time to say that way too many of us are obsessed with what we're trying to get out of and haven't really become intentional about what we're trying to get into. And so we've got all of these rules to get out and to keep us out, but we don't really have a guide for how we get into the very thing that God brought us out to bring us into. So God brought you out to bring you in. And so this is the book of the second law, the law of purpose and destiny. Now, in this next column, I've got here that the book of Deuteronomy precedes the book of Joshua. The book of Joshua. Now, the book of Joshua is the book of inheritance and possessing of promises. It is in Joshua that the children of Israel possess the promises that God made to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob concerning the land, the seed, and the blessing. The possession of the promise begins in the book of Joshua. It is in Joshua that the children of Israel are no longer talking promised land, they're walking promised land. It's in Joshua that they're no longer dreaming it, they're actually doing it. It's in Joshua, they're not just naming it, they're actually claiming it. In Joshua, we've moved from the fantasy to the fact. You know, before Joshua, Israel has a menu, but in Joshua, Israel has a meal. Oh, wow and wow. You know, the menu tells you what's available, but the meal satisfies your hunger and your appetite. And for way too many of us, we are dreaming about stuff that we're not doing. We are talking about stuff that we're not walking. We are naming stuff that we haven't yet claimed. We are fantasizing about things that haven't become facts. We are reading menus, but we haven't eaten the meal. In Joshua, we're eating the meal. In Joshua, we're walking the talk. In Joshua, we're claiming what we've named. In Joshua, we're doing what we've dreamed. And so this book of Deuteronomy sits just before Joshua. Woohoo! What does that mean? It means that just before. What did I say? I said just before. What did I say? I said just before you actually start walking in your inheritance, possessing your promises, doing what you're dreaming, just before God says, sit down. Woo! Oh my. Just before. See, I'm really talking to people who are just moments before your next mega miracle. Moments before God says, I want to give you some laws of purpose and destiny before you step into the promise, before you possess promises, before you take territory, before you see cities, before you're living in houses you didn't build, drinking from wells you didn't dig, eating from vineyards you didn't plant. Before the land of milk and honey, I want to give you some laws of purpose and destiny. Now, in the third column, I've written here that Deuteronomy is composed of the prep talks or the sermons of Moses to a new breed of believers. Now, how do I know they were a new breed? I know because the generation that left Egypt pretty much died in the wilderness. Not all of them, but a lot of them died in the wilderness. A lot of them did not survive the journey from Egypt to Canaan. But there was a new generation. There was an emerging generation. And that emerging generation were sitting on the brink of the breakthrough. They were on the verge of victory. They were at the dawn of the doorway of destiny and the gateway of greatness. That's where they were. And Moses delivers these sermons to this new breed who are saying, listen, our fathers went in circles for 40 years in a wilderness, But we're not going to spend the next 40 years in the wilderness. We're going to possess our promises. We're going to take territory. We're going to see cities, and we're going to fulfill the mandate that God placed on the house of Israel. We're going to fulfill that mandate by possessing this promised land. That was a new breed. New mentality, new mindset, new conversation, new values, new goals. And guess what? Just if you look at the body of Christ right now, you're going to see that there's an emerging new breed. Like some of you on the call right now, you are the new breed. You are not content to spend the next 40 years going round in circles in a wilderness singing the same song that you sang when you came through the Red Sea. No, you are not content. You are not content outside of the full intention, the original intention of God for you. And you have aspirations unlike any generation before you. You have set your sight on territory that is currently occupied by the ungodly. You've set your sight on cities that are currently governed by the ungodly. And you are this new breed. All right. So God says, listen, you are the new breed. You are the new breed. And I need you to sit down before you come into your fame and fortune. And I want you to receive the laws of purpose and destiny. So I said to you at the beginning of this slide that Deuteronomy is different. It's different because of its position. What's its position? Its position is its position right before Israel possesses the promised land. Okay? It's different in terms of its content. And its content is these prep talks by Moses to the new breed of people who are encamped on the brink of a breakthrough. And its intent is to show you how you can survive the success that you are about to experience. That was the intent of the book. This was Moses saying, now listen, you're about to become very successful. You're about to become very influential. You're about to become very resourceful. You are about to drink milk and honey. You are about to become landlords. You're going to take territory and seize cities. And I want to show you how you can survive that. How you can survive that. That's the intent of the book. That's the content of the book. And so I've got this fourth column here, which is a scripture reading, right? It's Deuteronomy 1, little bit of verse 1, a little bit of verse 5. Here's what it says. These be the words which Moses spake unto all Israel on this side Jordan in the wilderness. What does it mean on this side of the Jordan? Well, it literally means that you are on the brink, this side of Jordan in the plain over against the Red Sea. In other words, you are on the brink of a breakthrough. You're on the verge of victory. You're at the doorway of destiny. You're at the gateway of greatness. You're sitting at the brink. All that stands between you and the promise is this river Jordan. That's all that stands between you and the promise now, is this river Jordan. And he picks up on it again in verse 5. It says, on this side of Jordan, in the land of Moab, began Moses to declare this law, saying. So that's the opening chapter of Deuteronomy. It's a law, right? But it's the laws of purpose and destiny. It's the laws of inheritance. It's not the laws of deliverance and distinction. Or even development. It's the laws of purpose and destiny, the laws of inheritance. And Moses delivers these sermons to the people who are encamped on this side of the Jordan, in the plain of Moab, on the brink of the breakthrough. Now, let's read. All this is so deep. Congratulations, everyone that's on board with the live. Woo, because there's a rhema getting ready to be released in here today. So here goes. I'm going to read it very fast. Deuteronomy 7, verse 1 to 4. When the Lord thy God shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and has cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites and the Girgashites, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou. And when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them, neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son, for they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you, and destroy thee suddenly. Oh my word. Well, that's pretty deep, right? That's pretty deep. And pretty aggressive. But I want you to notice that these verses are loaded with success assumptions. And how do we know that these are assumptions? Because of the language, when. When. See, it's not if. It's not if. We've moved from if. In the wilderness, the promised land was a if. In Egypt, the promised land was a possibility, and a promise. But in the wilderness, the promised land was if. It was if, because for 40 years we've gone around in circles. For 40 years, the pillar of cloud and fire has led us in circles. For 40 years, we have survived from the supernatural supply of bread from heaven. For 40 years, we've drunk water from the rock. For 40 years, we have survived by all of these miracles, signs, and wonders. But it's been survival mode. And we've been in survival mode. We've been surviving for 40 years. But Moses is speaking to a people who is saying, look, we are actually sick and tired of surviving when we are destined and called to thriving. So we're actually the generation that are going to thrive. And we're grateful for the generation that survived, but we are the generation that's going to thrive. I wish I had some help in here. We are the generation that is going to thrive. And I want you to notice the assumption, when, not if. See, when you get to your Deuteronomy, success is when. It's not if. When the Lord your God shall bring you into the land, and when the Lord shall deliver all your enemies before you, and when this happens, and when this happens, and when this happens, when it happens, when you take the new territory, and every obstacle in your way has been crushed under your feet, when you seize the cities, when you seize the vineyards, when the milk and honey flows, when. And see, there's a psychological shift you have to make from if to when. My success is no longer if, it's when. You know, in the if stage, it might happen. It's possible. I'm hopeful. But when is now describes the spirit of expectation. It describes anticipation. It demands preparation. When you start using the when language, right? When you start using when language, now you have expectation, you have anticipation, and your when language demands preparation, because you can't say when without making preparation. So right now, Moses is getting them into the when. Moses is increasing their expectation. He's increasing their anticipation. He is demanding their preparation, because it's not if, it's when. And when means it's a matter of time. This is an inevitable matter of time. We are the when people. Woo! We are the when people. Now watch this. When you know that you are on the brink of a breakthrough, when you know that you are on the verge of victory, when you know that you're in the gateway of greatness or at the dawn of your destiny, it will be evidenced in the following. See, when you know, when your success has become your assumption, when your success has become your assumption, when your success is assumed, okay, we'll know it because of certain changes. Here's the change. Number one, your language is going to change. Your language is going to change. All the doubt has to come out of your language. Woo! I need to pause and clap right there. All the doubt needs to come out of your conversation. I don't know who I'm speaking to tonight, but if there's no one on this live I'm speaking to, it's me. And those of you going to do the catch up, it's you. I need you to know that when you have that success assumption and you are in the Deuteronomy of your destiny, your if becomes when, and all the doubt comes out of your language and out of your conversation. You refuse to engage in doubtful conversation. You refuse to participate in doubtful conversation. You refuse to use doubtful language. And the reason you can't participate in doubtful conversation, you cannot entertain doubtful people who are detractors and distractors from your destiny, is because to you that success is going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's a matter of time, and it's not a lot of time, because we're on the verge of this victory. So your language changes. Your language changes. Woo! Is there anybody here that begin to experience a change in your language? Let me break it down. Let me monetize it right now. When you're on the, let me monetize it for just a moment. I'll give it some monetary value, right? You know when you're on the brink of a financial breakthrough because your language begins to change. Your language changes, and you begin to assume that you're going to make the million. You're going to make the millions. You're going to make the killing. And because you have assumed that you're going to make the killing, this one's going to work. This ain't going to take another 40 years. We're not going around in a circle again. This one is going to work. We're at the doorway of a greater destiny. You simply cannot sit down and listen to negative people. You cannot watch negative news. You cannot consume negative content. It just doesn't sit with you. It makes you sick, almost physically, to have to entertain negativity because your own language has changed. You're now speaking about where you're going, what you're going to be doing. What the future looks like. You're describing it, and you're using language that has been informed by your success assumption. All right, number 2 is your attitude. Your attitude becomes evidence of your assumption. The attitude of enthusiasm, excitement, determination, almost like you have a second wind. You're alive again. Your passion has been restored. There's an unstoppable attitude with you because you have some inside information. You know what other people don't yet know. You know that you're going to win. You know that you are right now at the gateway of greatness. Woo! Okay, there's also a shift in terms of your conscious beliefs. And that's your success talk and your thoughts, because now you begin to consciously imagine your new life. You begin to consciously look up things. You start looking at the new houses you're going to live in. You start looking at the vehicle, right? You start looking at the life and the lifestyle. You start imagining things until those imaginations feel normal to you, because your conscious beliefs are being affected by your unconscious assumptions. What about energy? Energy, strength, like I was so tired, I was so fatigued. When you have a failure assumption, right? A failure assumption lurking in your subconscious, you get tired very quickly. You feel fatigued and lethargic, and you can't even find the strength to get up and go because something in your subconscious doubts the destiny that God has promised and made available to you. But actually, once that is replaced with a success assumption, you will untap your energy reserves and unleash a fountain of strength and energy. Your strength will be renewed. And then finally, it's planning. You literally start to plot and plan as to what you're going to do with your fame and your fortune. You start to plot and plan what you're going to do with your fame and fortune. Now, this explains why the wilderness, okay? Why the wilderness? Why the wilderness? Why didn't God just pick Israel up out of Egypt and drop them in the promised land? Why not just take me out of the undesirable and put me in the desirable? Why don't he just take me out of pain and put me into power? Why didn't God just do it like that? He doesn't do it like that because sustained success requires strength and skills, right? It requires strength and skills so that you never go from the pit to the pinnacle. You go from the pit through process to the pinnacle, right? Unless you've been processed before you went in the pit, like Joseph was processed before he went in the pit, so he could go from the pit to the pinnacle. But the children of Israel were in the pit in Egypt. God couldn't simply put them at the pinnacle of prosperity when they were in the pit of poverty. He had to take them through a process so that their mind would be renewed, so they would be transformed by the renewing of the mind. And with a new mind, you can sustain your success. But with the old mind, you can only sabotage your success, and your success, your dream then becomes your demise, because it takes real strength and skill to sustain success. The wilderness was a school of faith. It was the school of faith. God sent them to school. And in the school of faith, they were to learn how to trust God, how to depend upon God, how to believe in the face of adversity, difficulty, opposition, hostility. They had to learn how to think about adversity, difficulty, opposition, hostility. This was a school of faith, building their faith through a set of experiences and exercises. It was also their training to reign. They had to learn how to lead, how to be self-reliant, how to be self-sufficient. They had to learn how to make the most of what they had. They had to learn how to start where you are with what you got. This is all training to reign. But ultimately, the wilderness was about demolishing the doubt. It was about demolishing the doubt. Because see, if God could conquer our enemies in this wilderness, if God could feed us in this wilderness, if God could make us never go thirsty in this wilderness, if God could keep clothes on our back in this wilderness, if God could keep us here, then there's no weapon ever formed against us that will ever prosper. There is no obstacle, there's no opposition, there's no giant, there's no Goliath. There is no sin, there is no system that can prevent our progress when God is bringing us into the promised land. Yeah, it may be occupied by giants. It may be occupied by cannibals. It may be occupied by devil worshippers, but we are not afraid of them, because in the school of the wilderness, God taught us that there is no weapon formed against us that will prosper. God taught us that there is more for us than against us. And God taught us that the power behind us is greater than the obstacle before us. And God taught us that greater is he that is in us than he that is in the world. And so the doubt has been demolished. And when the doubt is demolished, now you are ready. You are ready for your Deuteronomy. And the reason God has to demolish your doubts in the school of the wilderness. Woo! My God, this is, I feel a fire up in here. All right. The reason God has to demolish your doubts in the school of the wilderness is because you must become the person who can survive your own success. I said, you must become the person who can survive your own success. See, your dream can become your demise. right? Your dream can become your demise if you fail to realize that success is not a destination, it is a journey. Okay? Success is not a destination, it is a journey. Success is not a place you arrive, it's a realm you survive. Success is not a thing you achieve, it is a level on which you live. Success, right? And when you understand that actually when I become successful, this is the beginning of a journey. I'm in a new realm with new threats, with new challenges, with new opportunities, and I've got to learn to survive this new world of success. If you think it's been a struggle being broke, wait till you're rich. When you're rich, we tend to think, oh, when you're rich, you have no problems, there's no worries, there's no devils, there's no hostility, let me tell you something, it all gets amplified on those levels. And if you've run with the footmen and they have wearied you, how will you contend with the horses? So this is not a place I arrive, this is a realm I survive. It's not a thing to achieve, it's a level on which you're going to live now. I'm going to live on a new level. And this means that my future requires a level of fitness, My future requires a level of fitness. I want you to write in the chat box, fit for the future, fit for the future, fit for the future, because it's going to need some spiritual fitness. It's going to need mental, psychological fitness. It's going to need emotional fitness. It's going to need some relational fitness. It's going to need physical fitness. You're going to have to get fit for the future, because this thing you're trying to achieve is actually not a thing to achieve. It is a level on which you're going to have to live. It is not a destination, it is a journey. And so that's why God puts you in the school of the wilderness first, to demolish your doubts so that you can survive the arena of success. So the second law, which is the Deuteronomy, the basic message is this: make decisions now. I put now in capitals because what I mean by now is on this side of the Jordan. On this side of the Jordan. Make decisions now about how you're going to use your fame, your fortune, and your future. And you need to make the decisions on this side. Don't think you're going to suddenly break through and become influential and resourceful, and then you're going to have to figure out what you do with it. No. God says that's the wrong time to try to figure out what you're going to do. Before you get there, you sit down and you figure it out, so that you can make a covenant with yourself and with God as to how you're going to use your fame and fortune, how you're going to use your influence and authority. Before you are famous, you need a Deuteronomy. You need to sit down and have a Deuteronomy moment. Before you have great fortune, sit down and have a Deuteronomy moment. Before you become influential, sit down and have a Deuteronomy moment. Before God gives you authority over a territory, sit down and have a Deuteronomy moment. This is why Jesus was led by the Spirit into the wilderness before he started his ministry of signs, wonders, miracles, power, and amassed a great following. Before this side of the Jordan, God says, I'm going to lead you into a wilderness. A what? A wilderness. What is the wilderness? Same wilderness as Israel. I'm taking you into the wilderness because in the wilderness, you're going to make decisions about how you're going to use your fame, your fortune, how you're going to use your influence and authority. And so Jesus was tempted in terms of how he would use his power. He was tempted in terms of what he would do for power. He was tempted when it comes to power. And I want you to see this. The first temptation, command that these stones be made bread. That's a temptation to use your power for yourself exclusively. And Jesus in the wilderness decided on this side of his Jordan that my power will be used for the purposes of God. Woo! You know, the devil tempted him and said, look, jump off of the pinnacle of the temples and the angels will catch you and people will see you and you'll be famous. Jesus is now making a decision about how to handle fame. Because see, if you don't decide on this side what fame means to you or doesn't mean to you, then on the other side, you'll allow people to lift you up and the same people can drag you down. You will allow people to build you up who are planning to pull you down. All because fame has become more important to you than the purpose and the destiny and the promise of God. Woo, I wish I had some help in here. Finally, the devil said to him, all this power will I give to you if you bow down and worship me. I'll give you the power to create kingdoms. And Jesus resisted that temptation because he established in the wilderness his priorities. It was about establishing priorities on this side. So listen, don't wait till you are a millionaire to figure out what you're going to do with your millions. Don't wait till you have 1 million followers on social media to figure out how you're going to use your influence. Don't wait until you have credibility and visibility and you are resourceful before you figure out what you're going to do with it. Sit down on this side and out of your success assumption, say, God, I know I'm going to be very rich. I know I'm going to be very influential. I know you're going to give me great authority, and I know that you're going to give me dominion over a territory. But here is my priorities. This is what I'm going to do with my fame, and this is what I'm going to do with my fortune. Woo! So for Israel, the principles of the Deuteronomy were pretty clear. Some of them are going to resonate with all of us right now. So I'm just going to read them. I won't take time to explain them, but you can screen munch this and you can go over this in your own time. But if you distill everything that Deuteronomy is teaching, what Moses is saying to the children of Israel in the Deuteronomy is, look, principle number 1, you must change the environment, but don't let it change you. Woo! I wish I had some help in here. He's saying, listen, your newfound wealth is going to make a difference, but don't let it make you different. You are going to change the environment. The environment must not change you. It's a decision that you make before you're successful. And you say, you know what? This thing is going to open up lots of new opportunities and possibilities for me, but it's not going to change me. Number 2, remember and never forget. Remember and never forget your power, your promise, your purpose, your path. Don't forget where you come from. Don't forget what you've come through. Don't forget what you're going to. Don't forget the purpose. Do not forget. You must remember, right? When you become successful, you must, you know how some people make money and then forget, right? You know how some people become famous and then they forget, right? Some people that leaned on you, that needed you, that relied on you, can't even remember your name now that they're famous. Well, God says, listen, before you become famous, I need you to covenant that I'm not going to forget. Number 3, he says, do not blend in. Do not try to blend in, assimilate, or take sides. Instead, stand out, annihilate, and take over. Wow and wow. That's a deep one. That's a word for the Joshua generation. In this kingdom move, it's not about blending in, assimilating, and taking sides. It's about standing out, annihilating, and taking over. Woo! Number 4, don't get greedy. Right? Don't get greedy means exploit your own opportunity. What that means is that every single one of us can prosper in this land. Every family can prosper in this land. Every tribe can prosper in this land. You are in a land that is abundant, and each tribe is allocated territory, and each family is given and allotted a territory within the tribal territory so that everyone has an opportunity for prosperity. Don't get greedy and start coveting your neighbor's goods, your neighbor's house, your neighbor's wife, your neighbor's land. Instead, exploit your own opportunity. Number 5, feed the Levites. Feed the Levites means that the Levites are not going to be given land. They're not going to be given the opportunity to build a business in the way that you have an opportunity, because they are the spiritual caretakers of Israel. And if you take care of the Levites, you are taking care of the spiritual health of your nation. And so God says, feed the Levites, take care of your spiritual health, because if you become spiritually diseased and infirm, you're not going to be able to stand by your priorities. You're not going to be able to commit to your covenant. You're not going to be able to commit to your agreements. So feed the Levites. Number 6, contribute to the commonwealth of Israel. Contribute to the commonwealth. What does that mean? It means, look, every tribe is going to have abundance and overflow. Every household is going to have abundance and overflow. Take your overflow and contribute to the commonwealth. Eradicate poverty from out of Israel. Make sure that there are no poor, there are no needy. Make sure that everyone prospers in this land. Number 7, put God first and center of your domestic, civic, and national life. Put God first and center of your domestic, civic, and national life. Number 8, teach your children your history, your purpose, and your destiny. Because your legacy, right, is not just your commercial estate. Your legacy is the spiritual estate that must be inherited by your children ahead of the commercial, physical, or financial estate. Because if they inherit your financial assets and do not inherit your values and priorities, then they will squander your assets and their children will be born into poverty. So teach your children your history, purpose, and destiny. Number 9, set up memorials as perpetual reminders. Okay? And number 10, practice generosity. Wow and wow. I hope you've enjoyed this teaching. I've been teaching for about an hour. Could you imagine if you had several hours with me, up to 3 hours of elite training with me, together with supporting documentation and some templates so that you could get going? Well, stop imagining. Sign up for my masterclass this Saturday. Sign up for the Wisdom to Wealth Masterclass this Saturday. The Wisdom to Wealth Masterclass is a fast track for people who have a story to tell, a message, a mission. You have some experience, perhaps some expertise. I will show the participants how to convert your experience and expertise into an enterprise, how to turn your very ideas into an income, how to convert your passion into profits, how to convert your message into a movement. I'm going to show you exactly how we, who are modern day philosophers, we are thought merchants, we are in the industry of ideas. I'm going to show you exactly how you can make a part-time, full-time, or big-time income just sharing your knowledge, right? And if you want to be part of the masterclass, then the description beneath this video actually has the link to the masterclass. You go straight there, read up about it, make a small investment, get your ticket, and be part of that training, because I promise I can help you grow a supplementary income, a full-time replacement income if you're looking for career change and you want to be full-time in the business of transforming lives and elevating people out of poverty and misery into abundance and fulfillment. If it's something you want to do full-time, or if it's something you want to do big time, okay, I will show you how to do it. right? I will show you how to do it in that masterclass. So don't miss it for anything in the world. I cannot guarantee I'm going to do another masterclass after this, but of this nature, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it this Saturday. So sign up now. Don't hesitate. It's your time. And if you have a mobile device, you can scan this QR code. It will take you straight to the page where you can read all about it and get your ticket. Wow and wow, we have had a blast. And you know, the thing, I don't normally come back on screen, but I'm coming back on screen to say that this is one of those messages. It's one of those messages that is designed to serve you well for the rest of your journey. It's designed to serve you at every stage in your journey. This is the principle that you cannot forget. It's the principle of the Deuteronomy, the principle of the second law, the law of purpose and destiny. It's the principle of pre-establishing priorities and making a covenant with yourself and with God concerning how you're going to use your fame and fortune. And you do it on this side. You don't wait till you get there. Do it now, because by the act of simply doing it now, wires your whole entire being, your subconscious and conscious mind with expectation. See, preparation is the proof of expectation. You're not expecting anything you're not actually preparing for. So this is a very important lesson. I want you to share it with your family, your friends, your neighbors, and your networks. Let them know this is a critical component for kingdom people, kingdom conscious people, kingdom citizens, kingdom ambassadors, people who have come to the kingdom for such a time as this. Have a listen to this, and then I'm going to put back some more information about the masterclass, but have a listen to this. Hello, friends. This is Bishop Wayne Malcolm, otherwise known as the Business Bishop. Did you know that in Genesis chapter 1, let there be light is the first order in creation, and it is always the first stage in the creative process. For entrepreneurs and business owners, this describes the strategy stage in the development of your business. It's where entrepreneurs begin to work out who they can serve, how they're going to serve them, and how they're going to make tons of profits in the process. Strategy, your business strategy, is a fundamental pillar of business success. Now, I've written a 20-page report. It's a quick read report because I like simple. I don't like complex and complicated. So it's a quick read, but it really does explore and unpack the essentials of a great business strategy. I feel like every business needs to go back to the strategic stage. So much has changed in the last 5 years that virtually every business has become a startup, because you're having to reinvent yourself. You're having to innovate. You're having to make strategic changes to how your business operates and where your business operates. And so it doesn't matter how long you've been in business. Right now, in the face of all the disruption that we've experienced in the last 5 years, you are fundamentally a startup. And so this report will serve you well. I want you to go right now to the page or just click below and download your free copy. Once you've gotten that copy, have that quick read and holler back at me. There's so much more that I want to share with you. God bless you.
Oh, yeah. I know what you got. You know what I got. Yeah. We all got potential. Uh-huh. Yeah. We may not all have money, but we all got potential. Potential to be anything that we can dream. Yeah. So get ready. Here we go. Whoever dreamed that I could be a great example of what man can achieve. If he believes and pursues that dream, in time, potentially, in time, potentially, whoever knew that I could go to what you say.